NitroRCX.com. Extreme has no limits.
Hey guys, welcome to NitroRCX.com. Today we're looking at a new line of Team Energy 1/7 scale buggies, or 1/7 scale series. Today we're looking at the Buggy. It's called the A7X. Last time we looked at the DT, which is the Desert Buggy. Today we're looking at the Buggy itself. Traditional buggy styling with the spoiler and the Buggy body. Kind of looks like the T8X, but it is its bigger brother. We'll give you guys a comparison between the 1/7 scale and the 1/8 scale later. But the main focus of this vehicle is to show you guys what comes out of the box, some key features, go over the electronics and the drivetrain. So let's dive right into it. Longer wheelbase, longer track. It is a 1/7 scale. Notice the much larger 17mm hexed off-road tires. These are much larger than the 1/8 scale. You have traditional buggy styling, polycarbonate body shell with an adjustable wing. So let's go ahead and remove the body and take a closer look at the chassis and its components. Body posts on the front and rear hold that body together, and it uses body pins. And when you open it up, you're greeted with a beautiful 3mm thick aluminum chassis. You also have very thick aluminum shock towers. Let's just go ahead and dive into the suspension components. Guys, this is 16mm big bore shocks, oil filled. You also get different pistons in the package, so you can change out the pistons and change how your shocks react to different fluid. Now you have different shock mounting positions on the front and the rear, so you can move that shock inwards or outwards. You can do it linear or progressive to get stiffer or softer settings. You also have an adjustable sway bar, front and rear. Remember guys, inside these differentials are geared differentials, grease filled. They're oil filled, so you can change the viscosity of the oil and change your front, rear, and center power distribution ratio. More on the suspension, it's fully adjustable. You have full ball bearings throughout. There are no bushings on this vehicle. You have an adjustable steering Ackerman, adjustable servo saver. You have camber rods up top that you can adjust to adjust positive or negative camber. You have tie rods on the bottom here that links to your steering, and that will give you adjustable toe. And let's give you guys a shot of the back suspension so you guys can see even longer shocks in the back, the same 16mm big bore threaded shocks. These are long travel, so they are much longer to give you more suspension travel. Look at the ground clearance on this vehicle. Very high ground clearance, so you can crawl, speed over, or fly over different types of terrain. Let's go ahead and just dive into the drivetrain right now. It is shaft-driven four-wheel drive. Notice you have CVT joints on the front connected to your differential. On the rear, you have traditional dog bones. In the center right here, you also have a shaft-driven four-wheel drive system. You have a center differential, and you have very thick axles going to the rear diff and the front differential. And the motor on this vehicle is a 2400 kV high torque motor, and it does have that cooling fin on here mounted to it, so it does keep it cool. Notice the hole, so you can mount an optional cooling fins if you would like to. Cooling fans, I mean, if you would like to. You can mount that on there and power it off the ESC. The bolt-on type where it slides in and out, so you can mount a much larger motor and a longer motor. Notice the clearance right here. You can mount a longer motor such as the 4274 big boy motor from Hobby Wing or our Takan series motors that will fit in here. It comes with a 100 amp waterproof ESC. It's fully programmable, so you can program it to run different punch modes, different acceleration modes. You can tune it to run nickels if you do wish to do so, but it does come with two 7.4 volt 4000 milliamp hour batteries, 45C discharge rate. Perfect power delivery for this type of application, and it's going to keep this buggy running consistent, strong, and for a long time. You will need a lithium battery charger to charge this vehicle. We do recommend the AC6 charger for faster charge times, or you can run a simple charger where you just plug in the balance port and charge that. Cost is much lower, but your charge times, of course, are going to be slightly longer. Now let's dive into the servo system. It is a high torque 15 kg servo with an aluminum servo horn, and as mentioned before, it does have an adjustable servo saver. Notice that waterproof on-off switch with a programmable button leading to that speed controller, which is hidden right here in the front of the chassis. Notice the chassis braces on this vehicle. You have chassis braces front and rear because it is a much longer wheelbase vehicle. You have these chassis braces to brace the chassis just in case you're doing lots of jumps, lots of rough terrain. You don't want too much flex. These will keep this chassis rigid and sturdy. Let's take a look at that Gold Class GT3X radio that comes with the Team Energy series. Gold Class only for the Team Energy series. This is the GT3X. It does have the Croft feature and a bunch of other features that you can use and adjust. LCD lit back screen, takes 4 AA batteries that you're going to need to power up this radio, but an awesome radio. A lot of people love these radios, and Team Energy, of course, includes it with this awesome ready-to-run package. Look at the massive tires on this thing. It has a pretty low profile tire, so you know the handling is going to be quick and responsive. Unlike the Truggies or the monster trucks where they have a big sidewall, you have a very thin sidewall, low profile. This thing is going to be the most agile out of the bunch. Very knobby and grippy tires right here. The foam in here is excellent, and notice that it is a 17mm hexed large diameter Buggy racing tires for this 1/7 scale A7X. Now, if you want to change your servo, this is fully hobby grade, so if you want to change the motor, the servo, the speed controller, you can always do that, of course, because you can mount it in there. All the gear sets on this vehicle are heat-treated steel. Notice the lightened center spur gear. That is also metal, so it is tough. It can take the abuse, and if little pebbles fly in, it'll just chew up those pebbles and not eat up your gears. This thing is built to run off-road and built to run aggressively and fast. All right, let's move on back to the wing right here. It is an adjustable wing, so you can adjust downforce, and it does have little vents in the hole, so it does direct air through the wing to keep that back end planted, because of course when you're going fast, you're going to see that rear end jumping around. This wing will keep that rear end in check and steady. This thing slides awesome. I love it when we're mid-turn on the power and sliding. And while we're on the topic of aerodynamics, let's put that body back on, and wow, look at that body. Nice and sleek, nice and tough looking. The A7X is my favorite 1/7 scale out of the Team Energy series. And why? Because just look at that body. It looks awesome, and it looks very similar to the T8X. Speaking of the T8X, let's pop up the T8X and give you guys a size comparison so you can see the difference between track and width. We have our trusty T8X that's been running forever. Notice the two side by side. The 1/7 scale A7X is much bigger, track is bigger, wheels are much larger, and it does have a longer wheelbase. Alright guys, so that sums up the quick look at the A7X Buggy. If you want more detailed specs and pictures, be sure to head on over to nitrorcx.com, and definitely stay tuned for the next up, the C8 ST Truggy, and be sure to stay tuned for the running footage. We'll catch you guys in the next video.
nitrorcx.com. Extreme has no limits.